All right, lesson 4.8, we're going to talk about isosceles and equilateral triangles a little bit more. Let's just review the vocabulary. The base angles in an isosceles triangle are angles adjacent to the base. So that would be angle B and angle C. They are congruent to each other. In an isosceles triangle, the angle opposite of the base is called the vertex angle. Okay, that would be up here. First off, let's just notate this is an isosceles. And this is the vertex angle. And down here we have the base angles, which are congruent. All right, base angle theorem. If two sides are congruent in a triangle, it says here if A is congruent to AC, or AB is congruent to AC, then angle B is congruent to angle C. In here, theorem 4.8, the converse of the base angle theorem says if two angles are congruent, then that means the opposite sides would be congruent of the angle. Okay, so you can, if this happens first, right, in 4.7, if you have two sides are congruent, then you know that the base angles will be congruent. And then obviously, an opposite is if the angles are congruent, then you can go ahead and know that the two sides opposite of those are congruent. All right, here's a little corollary. If a triangle is equilateral, then it is equiangular. It goes both ways. If a triangle is equiangular, then it is equilateral. Okay, notice this is an equilateral triangle. All of the angles are the same, so it's also equiangular. Always measure to 60 degrees. Each angle measures 60. Okay. Let's look at some examples here. All right, so first off, I am looking at example 1. I notice that this is an equilateral triangle. So that means X has to be 60 degrees. Okay, so if I know this is 60 here, I can find Y because Y and 60 are a linear pair. So 180 minus 60 equals 120. So Y equals 120. Then to find X, we simply plug 120 in up here. Right, this is a equilateral triangle here with a vertex angle of 120 degrees. 180 minus 120 is 60, split between my two base angles, so divide by 2, is 30. So Z equals 30. Okay. In number 2, okay, here I have an equiangular triangle. That means it's 60, 60, 60. So if you want to fill that in, maybe that'll help. Okay, didn't really help me just yet, but let me look at this triangle all the way to the left. I see it's an isosceles. It has two congruent sides, so that means this is 50 down here. Well, every single triangle, no matter how big or small, has an interior sum of 180. So I have base angles totaling 100, so that means that Y equals 80 degrees. It doesn't really help me get X, but what I can see here, maybe you can too, is here these three angles make a line. I have 50 and 60, that makes 110. So whatever this is going to get me to 180. So 180 minus 110 equals 70, right? Because if I can start at a line and make a rainbow on the same line, the measure of a line is 180 degrees, so that's why this is 70. So if that's 70, this is 70 here. And then we just subtract to find the vertex, right? 70 is 140. 180 minus 140 is 40. So that means x is 40. Okay, here I had number 3. I have base angles that are congruent. That means that my sides opposite are congruent. So x plus 15 equals 20. X is equal to 5. This 30 down here was like a banana peel. Didn't really need that. All right, let's look at number 4. Here I have actually 3 different triangles, but first let's take a look at this. I'm going to have to fill in everything I possibly can, okay? So I know that 30 degrees in the vertex of my lower isosceles triangle here, right? This is my lower isosceles. The vertex and that 30 make a linear pair. So 180 minus 30 is 150. That is the measure in here. All right, this is an isosceles triangle. That means the base angles are congruent. Interior still 180. So 180 minus 150 equals 30. Remember, I'm splitting between the 2 base angles, so divide by 2. I get 15. So x is 15. Now, if I look at this big triangle here, see this big right triangle? We know that the right angle is 90, and here is 15. And we can just subtract from 180 again, right? 180 minus 90 minus 15 is, I get 75. So y equals 75. All right, let's take a look at number 5 here. All right, it's pretty crazy, but look, there's so many triangles here. Let's just look at this one. I'm gonna highlight it first. Hopefully if that works. Here. That's an isosceles triangle, so the base angles are congruent. X is pretty obvious. X is 50 degrees. Now, I'm going to try to erase my highlighter. All right, and then I'm going to highlight another triangle where the vertex is now, oh no, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me unhighlight that one. What I meant to do was this here. I was getting ahead of myself. This triangle here is a right triangle. So here is 90. This is 50. So 90 and 50 is 140. This little angle over here is going to get us to 180. So we can do the math on that. 180 minus 140 gives us 40 degrees. So that means this angle right here is 40 degrees. Now if I go back to my highlighter, and this is what I was starting to get ahead of myself. I didn't mean to. So do you see this is an isosceles triangle, okay? The base angles are congruent, so that means y is also 40 degrees. So sometimes you need to like kind of fill out as much information as you can, and hopefully that the solutions just start to fall out and are obvious to you. All right, so here is your homework for tonight. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? So for the extra credit, I do want this turned in on paper. Do not turn this in online. 32 to 34. Make sure you draw pictures, show all your work. So I would imagine there might be some systems of equations to solve. I'm not sure. Let me know if you have any questions about anything with the extra credit. All right, see you later. Bye.